This is Lindsay Putzier with Eclectic Interiors, and I've had some requests to show you guys how I make my big fluffy bows that are all over my house. So let's get started. First of all, gather your supplies. You will need a pair of sharp scissors, sharp, wire for wrapping around the ribbon. The best wire to get is this kind that is kind of coated, so it's not super duper thin because you don't want it to break on you. And you will need ribbon with wire in it, so wired ribbon. And it should say right on the label whether or not it has wire in it. Of course this one doesn't, but you can also just generally look at it or feel underneath the wrapping and see if there's wire underneath. These bows only work with wired ribbon, okay? Don't get the stuff without wire, it won't work. So before you start the bow, you're gonna need to cut your wire, because the last thing you want to do is be holding an unstable bow and then have to cut the wire afterward, like I do almost every time I do a bow nowadays. It's bad. So cut about 1 foot-ish. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. You should be able to cut this with regular sharp scissors. Of course, there are wire cutters that you can use as well, but there's really no point in introducing a new tool. So you've got your wire. Now put it down somewhere where you can reach it. I know you guys can't see my table, but it's right here. So now we're going to start our actual bow. So what we're not going to do is cut the ribbon before we make the bow, because that's a great way to make sure that you don't have enough ribbon. So you're going to have to manage your spool while you're doing the ribbon. So what you want to do though is make sure you've got quite a length to start with. Maybe do, you know, about as long as you are, about 5 feet or so. Well, ish. So just get yourself a bunch of ribbon. And then we're gonna go back to the beginning and you're gonna make your center loop. So your first loop, you're gonna take the wired ribbon, again, wired, 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 and make a little loop. Squish the ends together. Make sure you have some overlapping. You don't need a ton. I mean, when you're first starting out, if you wanna, you know, do more just because you're not as great with the skill, that's fine. You could do about 2 inches or so. I don't need that much, but pinch the ribbon together and twist the middle. This is important. Twist the middle so it doesn't come apart, basically. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna use your pincher fingers, and you're gonna have pincher fingers on your ribbon the entire time that you're doing this for the rest of the time. One hand or another is going to be pinching the middle. Pinch the middle of the loop. See that? Then you're gonna wanna have twisted the ribbon so that the pretty side, so here's the pretty side, here's the not pretty side. The pretty side is up. You're gonna keep the pretty side up the entire time. So you're gonna make your first bigger loop. Now the size of this really is just dependent on how big you want your ribbon to be. I usually go with about 6 inches-ish, but it depends on how big you want your ribbon to be. So make your loop, and then you're gonna twist just the back fabric so that it's again facing upward so you can make another loop. Pinch this part, don't move this, don't twist the entire loop here, just twist the back. A half twist, that's it. You don't have to go crazy, you don't have to do 2, 3 twists. Then once you have that twist, you're gonna take your pincher fingers, I told you they're important, and hold that twist along with your initial loop in the middle, okay? So then your fabric is up again, your ribbon is up, fabric, you can tell what I do for a living. And then we're going to make another loop. Don't worry about it being exactly the same size. Don't worry if it's like fluffy right now or if it's flattened, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you make another loop that's pretty much the same size, it doesn't have to be exact. So again, when you get to the back here, you're gonna do a half twist. You're pinching the other part that you've already done, making a half twist with just this ribbon in the back to get it to be colorful again on the other side. All right, so now you've got a basic bow right here. This is a, you know, 2-loop bow. If you wanna stop there, you can. But I wanna show you how to make a big puffy bow, so we're gonna keep going. So then, now see, this is what I was talking about with managing your ribbon. it's starting to curl up and go crazy, you might need to take the actual spool and turn it so the ribbon's straight. That's just a part of this. It's annoying, but it's a part of the process. So we're gonna make our third loop now. We've got 2. Third loop. I tend to make the ones as we're going back a tiny bit bigger. Don't make them smaller, it looks funny, but you can keep them the same size as well. So again, we've made our loop. We're gonna again transfer the pinch. So we've got this fabric here. Make our half twist with just the back layer, and then pinch that down too. Don't pay attention if this is a little off kilter, if it looks funny, if it's squished, ignore it. We will fix it all in post, okay? But what we're doing right now is just making the actual ribbon. So then, see, I gotta manage this too. It's not a perfect process, but it does work. All right, so then you've got your ribbon upright, and you're going to make a 4th loop. It's around the same size. See, and it's not perfect right now, and that's okay. So we're transferring. We're turning a half loop, or half turn here in the back. We are pinching. And then we're gonna do 2 more loops kind of toward the bottom. See how now we've got 2 loops at the top? We're gonna do 2 at the bottom. So again, about 6 inches. Twist, pinch in the back, and another 6 inches. All right, so now we've reached the end, and I actually reached the end of my spool. I didn't realize that I didn't have much left. This probably won't be the case for you. So you've got all this stuff pinched back here, right? So now what do? You cut off this ribbon that's left. You can leave yourself a tail, just in case one of the loops comes out. You can leave yourself a little bit of a tail here. I leave about 2 inches. But it's up to you. Let's see if I can cut with my right hand. I'm left-handed. Aha. And then this is where it's important that you've cut this to begin with, your wire. So this loop in the middle, you take your wire while you're still pinching. Do not unpinch. You will regret it. Run it through the middle. Hold it down with your thumb that's underneath. Tightly twist the wire so that it wraps around the bow in both directions. You want to still be pinching, okay? Pull it as tight as you can, and then turn, you know, like a twist tie, so that you've got maybe 2-3 turns. You don't have to go crazy. It doesn't have to be like an inch of turn, okay? So that's what the bow looks like right now. It's kind of wonky, right? It's not perfect. We want to add a tail, and I'm actually, this is really a pathetic little tail. I'm going to get another spool of this ribbon, which I just happen to have kind of a matching ribbon. So we want to do a tail on the bow, you know, something that hangs down. So I usually do about 1 to 1.5 feet, just depending on the style of the bow I want to make. So in this case, you can just get your ribbon, fold it in half, get the length you want, and cut. Then to make the ends pretty, because as you can see, they're rough right now. It doesn't look very professional or pretty. So I put the 2 sides together, the ends, fold, and then we're gonna make a cut from the wired side toward the middle so that it's got a nice edge to the ribbon on the bottom. Try and make a nice clean cut. And then, ta-da! See, doesn't that look prettier? Yeah, it does. All right, so then get the middle of the ribbon. Again, pinch it here. And what you want to do is put the ribbon, attach it to the bow so that the ribbon flows nicely down. So you don't want to attach it so that it's kind of facing the wrong way. So just manipulate by yourself the ribbon so that the pretty side is out. And then you're going to take it. See, the pretty side is out. No, these do not actually match because as I said, I ran out of ribbon. Whoops. Just put it on the back. And Twist it again a couple times. And if you want to do more than one tail, you can do more than one tail. You can do what you want. It's your ribbon. There are no real rules. I'm just showing you how to do it. So then we've got this ribbon, and this one actually looks nicer than a lot of the ones that I make. But then now is the time that you want to actually manipulate and fluff the ribbon and make it look pretty so that it's a better looking bow. So what you're going to want is your two original loops, the ones in front, are generally going to be on each side of the middle. And then the second ones you make are kind of on top. So if they're not, if they're kind of, you know, hanging down below the middle ones, just pop it up a little bit. It's wired, remember? That's why we use wired ribbon, so it's manipulatable. Is that a word? I don't know. So same thing over here. We're gonna make that a nice fluffy loop. Fluffy. You probably will think that it's gonna look too flat, but it doesn't from the front. Because what happens is if you've got the loop that's all narrow, see how narrow that is? It doesn't look as nice. So we want these bottom loops, again, to be fluffy. So we're gonna kind of push from the middle and fluff them up. And now, since we used a good foot of that wire, we have extra wire left in the back that we can use to attach the ribbon around whatever we want to attach it to. So if you're going to put it on garland or whatever, then you have enough.